What's up guys, Wyvern here. I'm coming to you today from Access Replay in downtown Atlanta. It's a nice little internet cafe. They got lots of TVs, they got lots of computers, but mostly they have the Silph League regional tournament for today. We're gonna take a step inside real quick, we're gonna take a look around, and then we're gonna hop into this tournament, so let's go. So my first matchup of this tournament was against GT Arsenal. If you watch my Tempest Cup video, you'll know he was my first matchup there as well. He ended up beating me in that tournament, but I end up beating him here 2-1. We go to Game 3. All three are very close matches. GT's a very good player, so kudos to you for making regionals, and I look forward to competing against you in the future. So here I lead with Latias, as I do in every match this tournament, to throw my opponents for a loop, and to kind of gauge what they're going to lead with. Since it's neutral to a lot of things, Dragon Breath does good damage. You'll see me try and switch out after charging up that Thunder, but he's able to get off Rock Slide first, so I have to shield that to prevent from dying. I'm going to give up Switch priority here. In hindsight, I probably should have just used the Thunder and tried to finish it off with the Dragon Breath, but I allow him to switch into my his Medicham counter, which is Skarmory. So we're going to drop a Power-Up Punch there and power up the counter. Try and drop a second power-up punch, but he's going to shield this one. Thankfully, we do have a boosted attack at this point. So the Skarmory is going to burn through both of his shields. I have to use my last one here to keep Medicham alive with Sky Attack. But now that we have that boosted power-up punch, we're going to be dealing some pretty nice damage on it with counter. Flying does resist fighting, but keep in mind it still has that steel type, so it's pretty neutral on it. He keeps the Skarmory alive here, like I said, burning that second shield. And we're able to do just a little bit more damage before being able to take that last Sky Attack and finish us off. Now before we sub in, if you look down in the lower right, we're just going to let that timer tick back down so we have that switch timer back. And then we're going to throw in the Latias, finish it off with Dragon Breath. And then I make a crucial mistake. I should, in my mind, have remembered Melmetal had enough energy charged up for another Rock Slide. I should have used that Thunder right away, and unfortunately, all that energy we charged up went to waste. Now we do throw in Tropius, our last Pokemon, which is able to charge up a bit of energy with Razor Leaf. We do unfortunately take a Rock Slide from Melmetal, but thankfully we're able to survive it. So Razor Leaf is able to finish off the Melmetal, and then when he throws in the Whiscash, we have enough energy charged up for Leaf Blade before he's able to get off his Blizzard, which is enough to seal the win for us. So like I said, I went 2-1 against GT Arsenal. Good game to you, man. Look forward to playing you in the future. Let's jump into the next match now. Next up, we have Monthu98, who is a very interesting matchup. He was running a Gallade. When you have an off-meta Pokemon like that, I anticipated him using it, and in fact, this time he leads with it. Latias, I know, is going to resist any charge move it can throw at me because I know it has Close Combat, Leaf Blade, or Psychic move. I couldn't remember at the moment, but I knew it wouldn't deal that much damage overall. So we don't opt to shield there. We're just going to Dragon Breath this thing to death. It was pretty squishy. Unfortunately, Latias takes some pretty decent damage from it, but we do get that Thunder charged up. Monthu is another one I took to Game 3. Unfortunately, I ended up losing to him despite winning in this video. Because of what I did right here, in all three matches I gave up Switch priority. I did not have a good lead, and in the next match he led with Bastiodon. I anticipated that and almost led with Medicham, but overthought it and ended up going with Altaria, and Bastiodon is a direct counter to that, so I think every match I used Altaria, I may have lost. Don't quote me on that. But Altaria was not as effective for me this match as Latias was. Or, sorry, this tournament, rather. We are going to shield the Sky Attack here, just because we have the powered-up Medicham. So we're going to hit it with the powered-up counter now. Hopefully able to drop another power-up punch before it hits us. Yep, so we're able to do that. I believe he shields this one. Let's see. Yep, so we get that last shield out of him now, so he's out of shields. I'm going to shield this Sky Attack. That was a mistake as well. We should have let the Medicham die, come in with the Latias, and Dragon Breath the Skarmory to death. But we feint each other here. He subs his Pokemon in first, so I know what I should lead with, and unfortunately, that has to be Tropius. Bastiodon is a good counter for Tropius, but we are able to hit with a Leaf Blade before dying. Now it is rock and steel type, so grass is neutral on it. However, Tropius, being flying type, is weak to both rock and fire, which are Bastiodon's 2 charge moves and fast move. Here we do come in with a Thunder charged up, so we're able to drop that on the Bastiodon and finish it off with Dragon Breath, winning this match for us. Like I said, though, we did end up going on to lose, so at this point in the tournament, we are now 1-1. Alright, so this match is going to be against Wylive. Going back to my Tempest Cup video once again, he's another guy I played. I think I beat him 2-1 in that one, I beat him 2-0 here, but regardless, they're both very close games. We're going to lead with the Latias once again. He's going to go with the Bastiodon. We're going to try and charge up that Thunder and then swap out. But he's able to get that Stone Edge off before we can swap out. I'm going to decide to shield it just because I'm not sure how much it'll do to Latias. It was kind of a last-second pick, so I didn't test it too terribly much. We're going to give up that sub-priority, which was my biggest mistake all tournament. That's something I'll hope to amend in Nightmare Cup. So he's going to throw in that Skarmory, and we're going to be able to hit it with that power-up punch, but I believe he's going to shield the next two. Regardless, we get to hit him with the powered-up counter and deal some pretty good damage to it. I know Skarmory is listed as one of the top counters for Medicham, but I would not count it as such, just because if you don't shield it, Medicham's going to destroy Skarmory, and most certainly vice versa, but you want a counter to like fully resist it. So like Azumarill is a great counter for Sableye. Sableye is a great counter for Medicham. I would not consider Skarmory a great counter for Medicham. So there, he has to block it because otherwise that power-up punch would definitely feint him. And so you'll see, Skarmory definitely wins this matchup. We were down a shield, but the Skarmory is almost dead and he's down 2 shields. So we're going to come in with the Latias and finish it off with Dragon Breath. And then we're not going to make the same mistake we did match 1 against GT Arsenal. We're going to drop that Thunder right away. Honestly, probably should have dropped it a little bit sooner. We lucked out there. But we're able to hit the Bastiodon with the Thunder, finish it off with the Dragon Breath. And then he brings in Medicham as his last Pokemon. We're able to drop Thunder on it, which actually deals a pretty decent amount of damage to it. And I'm noticing just the little bit of Dragon Breath we are able to use as well does a good chunk of damage to it. So Latias, a potentially viable Medicham counter as well. And then he drops the Power-Up Punch here instead of Ice Punch, so Tropius is able to finish it with its Razor Leaf. So we take this one 2-0. Alright, this match against Beware is one I arguably should have won. I made a very poor decision at the end with Azumarill, but you'll just have to see what that is and how this match turns out. We're going to lead with Latias once again. We're going to be able to hit this Bastiodon with some good Dragon Breath and Thunder. It ends up being a pretty viable, I'm not going to say counter, but maybe potentially a mirror match for Bastiodon here. Now we do have to shield the Stone Edge, unfortunately, but he is not going to shield the Thunder, so that's going to put some good damage on him along with the Dragon Breath. But now he's going to throw Stone Edge on us, and we just can't let that through. Like I said, I wasn't able to practice with Latias too much. It was kind of a last-second pick for me, so I'm not sure what Stone Edge is going to do on it. I'm just assuming it's going to be nasty. Here's another instance. I probably should have just kept the Latias in, but instead we're going to give up switch priority. Throw in the Medicham, try and take it out last second, but he's able to finish that off first. Or, sorry, switch it out first. So he's going to throw in the Skarmory, and we are going to deal some pretty good damage with Power-Up Punch. I think we get one more before we have to shield a Sky Attack. Yep, so we're able to land one more. So we deal some good damage to Bastiodon and Skarmory early on, but he's up 2 shields to 0. So that is unfortunate on our part. We're able to get one more Power-Up Punch off before we die, and unfortunately, he does shield this one. Getting some irritating notifications up top. I apologize for that. So yeah, he barely gets that shield, or sorry, not shield, Sky Attack off right before we die. And we throw in Latias to Dragon Breath this one to death. This was a bit of a glitch. I tried to sub it in and it wouldn't. It finally comes through. And right here is where we learn that Sableye is a fantastic counter for Latias, unfortunately. We're not able to get Thunder off before we die. Oh, my bad, we do. I didn't think I did. So thankfully we are able to get that Thunder off. He does shield it, but we're able to eat up that shield out of him. Latias gets dropped, and we come in with the Azumarill. So we find out Sableye does not do that much to Azumarill. I kind of anticipated that going in, but never was able to test it, just because my playtest partner didn't have a good Sableye. Neither did I, frankly. I considered powering one up, but just didn't have the Stardust to waste. So here's where I make the mistake. I should have just tried to drop this with Bubble, charge up the energy, save it for Bastiodon since it has energy charged up. But instead we use the Play Rough, which does knock it out. However, Bastiodon's able to hit us with a Stone Edge, as you'll see here. So we're barely alive. We end up tying this one. Had I not made that mistake, I would have won, but I ended up going on to lose 2-0. Or 2-1. Alright, so since I forgot to record one of my losses, this is going to be my last match of the tournament itself. This is going to be against Adaptable Mango. I'm going to lead with that Latias once again, and finally we have that good matchup against the Skarmory as the opener. Now, unfortunately, it does win in the mirror match with shields taken into account, but like I said earlier on, guys, Latias is my best counter for Skarmory. I realized very early on my team had a weakness to Skarmory. Latias and Medicham were my two best options against it. So here we do get the ideal matchup early on. Instead of having to lead with that Latias, charge up that energy, sub it out, second guess later if they're going to be running that Skarmory, we just get all that out of the way right away. She is going to shield that Thunder, and I get into the yellow hit points first, so I know I have to shield here because that Sky Attack is likely going to knock me out. Here we're able to charge up to one more Thunder before we're knocked out, and this, I believe, is going to take out the Skarmory. Yep, so we have a Skarmory down, but we have a very weak Latias, and we're already down to 0 shields. She does bring in the Venusaur, which isn't one I played against a lot in this tournament. Dragon Breath is able to do quite a number to it before she's able to drop that Frenzy Plant. We're going to come in with the Medicham. It takes me a bit to figure it out just because I don't have an ideal matchup. Tropius has that Aerial Ace, but Venusaur has that Sludge Bomb, so that would have been a very close matchup. I was not wanting to try and guess on, so we're going to try and get to this Ice Punch first. Unfortunately, she gets to Frenzy Plant first, which does a lot of damage on Medicham. A lot more than I would have expected. She is going to shield the Ice Punch, which led me to second guess myself. I should have Power Up Punched to bait that shield out of her, and then powering up my attack in the process, coming back with Ice Punch in a minute. We're going to try and get that Power Up Punch off, but she gets to Frenzy Plant first. However, I now know that she's down to no energy, so I don't have to worry about Tropius getting knocked out by Sludge Bomb. We're simply able to come in with Razor Leaf and finish it off. And I really luck out here by her Medicham not having Ice Punch on it. We're able to charge all the way up to that Aerial Ace, and we're able to finish her off with it. I knew Leaf Blade wasn't going to be enough to finish it off, otherwise I would have gone for that first. But regardless, we do end up taking this match 2-0. So here we'll see that Aerial Ace land, and all we have to do is finish it off with a little bit of Razor Leaf. Last match of the day is going to be after the tournament, so this one's not a ranked matchup, but it's going to be against Caleb Pang, the #1 player in the United States, #5 player worldwide, and Atlanta Pokemon Go regional champion, 6-0. So this was a huge honor to be able to play him. If you'll see in that graphic prior to the matchup, he had a very interesting team. Looking at that Lugia specifically, we're going to lead with the Latias just because knowing he's a better player than me, we have to try and catch him off guard as much as we can. We're able to get the switch priority here. Unfortunately, I realize at the second I try and switch, I did not bring Azumarill, aka my Medicham counter. So Latias is going to be our best bet. I don't know why I shielded that. I think I was expecting Ice Punch at that point, and I believe he used the Power Up Punch to try and bait me out of a shield. Unfortunately, I do have to take this last one. And I am not... Oh, I am able to get off Thunder. Okay. So I am able to get off Thunder before I die. Unfortunately, he's going to shield that. As we saw in a previous matchup, Thunder would have done a number on Medicham. Sadly, though, we're down to 1 shield, and he's going to try and Ice Punch the Tropius. So we're going to have to use that last shield, otherwise we are going to die. So we are able to knock out the Medicham before it's able to finish us off. So he is going to send in, what's his next Pokemon? I can't remember. Bastiodon, that's right. He brings the Bastiodon back. He uses Flamethrower, not Stone Edge. He told me later he was trying to go for Stone Edge there. He hit the wrong thing. But regardless, he's able to do a good bit of damage on us before we are able to really do too much to him. We do get that Leaf Blade off, but it's going to be too little too late there. We bring the Medicham in, which is a great counter for Bastiodon. However, he comes back with the Azumarill after we knock out the Bastiodon, which is going to prove to be too much for our team. So we do have that Power-Up Punch charged up. We're both down to 0 shields, but I'm down a bit of health, and he simply has the better matchup here with Azumarill, resisting everything I'm going to throw at him. Now, my biggest issue there was bringing Tropius instead of Azumarill. If I would have had that Medicham counter, I could have subbed in when he subbed out the Bastiodon. He gave me switch priority, and I had nothing I could do with it. So that was my biggest mistake of this one, was just simply choosing the wrong team. And as you'll see here, he is going to drop that play rough, finishing off the match. And he agreed to do a best 2 out of 3, so naturally, we played 2 games. I did not win any against him, but I had fun regardless, so we're going to hop into that next match, and I'm going to try and figure out what to use this time. Similarly to another match, I think I mentioned this at least once, I second-guessed myself. See, I choose that Medicham first. I'm trying to lead with the Medicham first. I think he's going to go with Bastiodon, but ultimately I decide not to lead with Medicham in the end, and that costs me the match. I have a bit of trouble here trying to figure out what to use. See, we go with that Bastiodon instead. We had Medicham at first. That was our big mistake. We do bring the Azumarill, because Medicham is so prevalent in this meta. I probably should have brought that in more matches than I did. But regardless, we bring it in this one. Unfortunately, we don't lead with the Medicham. So we have that Bastiodon Mirror Match. His is a much higher CP and has Flamethrower, though. I was not able to get that Flamethrower, so I know early on he's going to win this Mirror Match, so I have to give him substitution priority. And here's where this match gets glitchy. I sub out the Bastiodon. My Medicham never subs in. It came in on Caleb's screen, and it was able to attack. However, its icon never came up. Wasn't able to see its health. And then when he switched to Azumarill, I wasn't able to see his. This is a glitch I have never seen before, and thankfully did not happen to me during the tournament. So this was actually really funny. I was playing off of his phone the whole time. I was kind of screen peeking, so we were able to see how much energy each of us had, which made a really interesting matchup. He offered to back out, but I thought I would keep it just because it's very unique, and it was just a match for fun, so I saw no reason to restart at this point. So seeing that Azumarill use Play Rough, that's the only way to indicate what he has in at this point. Like I said, I had to watch his screen this whole time. So I obviously don't remember at this point what his Azumarill's hit points are, but all I know is it's Azumarill versus Azumarill at this point, and he has the upper hand, I believe, because he's friggin' Caleb Peng. We are able to get one more Play Rough off before I think we're knocked out. But it's hard to tell, isn't it? Yep, there goes his Azumarill. And I don't know what he threw in at this point. We'll find out when he uses this charge move. He threw in Medicham. Okay, so I'm guessing I shielded there because it was almost dead and I wanted to get this Play Rough off. That would be my best guess at this point. So he's going to shield that Play Rough, obviously, to keep that Medicham alive. And that's going to drop the Azumarill. Now we come in with Bastiodon, which is just a very poor matchup from the Medicham. We're going to shield regardless, but in the end, it's not going to matter. He's got that powered up counter. He's got that powered up power-up punch, so he's going to finish us off. I was never able to see that Lugia in a match, but Lugia versus Latias would have been a very interesting matchup. Next time I see him, I'll have to see if he's willing to do that. And that's going to finish us off. So That's going to be it for the glitch match. That's going to be it for our games against Caleb.
Alright, so I went 3-3. Without some human error, probably would have gone 4-2 or 5-1, but I wouldn't have won regardless, so I still had a great time. Congrats to Caleb Pang for winning the tournament. Glad I was able to get in a match against him at the end. One of the world's top players. Good luck at GoFest at the World's Tournament. Represent Atlanta as best as you can. Thank you for Access Replay and ATL Pogo Raids for hosting the tournament. Huge shout out to you guys for all the work you put in. Until next time, guys, I'm Wyvern. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. See you guys in the next video.